it makes total sense for us to demonstrate that we have a product with a good proof of concept. And this study of dogs is very good proof of concept. It's run by Syngene, which is a major CRO. It's comparative, it's randomized, it has multiple endpoints that are very valid. So that's something that could realistically lead to some kind of licensing out, some kind of sale of the product to within a year.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Genflow Biosciences CEO, Dr. Eric Lyra. Eric, very good to speak with you. You're after your 2024 results this week, and it looks like you've made good progress across your research programs. Take us through some of the highlights.
Yes, you're right. We made some very good progresses. We mostly broaden our portfolio of programs. We are focusing on MASH, and we decided to also move on with different programs. As you know, in terms of uncertainties, the XBI, the biotech index, is not doing great. And as a biotech company, you have roughly, and sorry, I won't be very subtle, but it's not the place to be to develop a subtle analysis. But roughly, we have the choice either to wait to the storm to pass and do as little as possible, conserve our cash, or to move on. Because in preclinical, we got some very encouraging, very promising result on a centenarian Cycloin 6, we're deciding to move on. And we're moving on not only on MASH, on Werner, on sarcopenia with partners, but also on the dog study.
And in fact, you got some very positive feedback from the FDA on MASH, Eric. So what's the next steps with MASH?
The next step is now to prepare for the clinical trial. In this preparation, the bulk of this preparation is mostly to have a product that will be exactly the product that will be commercialized under GMP condition, GMP, good manufacturing practice. It's a long process, it's a costly process, and it has been done with a grant because it's a financial burden. That's for MASH, and it's to be ready to move on to clinical trial. The good things for us is rather than starting with phase 1 with healthy volunteers that just establish the safety of the product, but does not demonstrate any kind of efficacy, we will be allowed to start directly with MASH patients. Why is it so positive? It's because when you demonstrate safety, unfortunately, that does not translate into a high increase in valuation of the company. A glass of water is very safe, does not make the glass of water very expensive. Now, if your glass of water can cure cancer, your glass of water becomes very expensive. So that's where we are on MASH.
In fact, you raised 4 million euros in funding commitment. That was from the Wallonia region for your GF1002 development. And you've also had some equity funding. So you have managed to put the funds in place to take your programs forward.
Yes, it's a vote of confidence from the company. Once again, either we say, okay, not a good time in terms of uncertainties for biotech, we consider as high risk, and we freeze everything, we don't move, we wait for the times to be better, to be with more certainty, or we're confident in our results. The results are so good that we took the decision to move on, and to move on also with the dog study. To finance that dog study is important. What I would like to point out for investors is, yes, time are uncertain and we're moving, so people can be afraid, but we're not moving like the MASH. MASH is a long-term investment. You know, this GMP production going through this very highly regulated clinical trial takes a lot of time. In the animal health, the burden of regulation is lower. So we do this proof of concept with dog, and therefore the horizon for an exit is much shorter. And the dog study, for example, we initiated now, it will take 6 months. We need 6 months for analysis and getting in touch. But we can have a BD, a business development program, get this product sold or partner with animal health company, and that's a potential exit. So, and a potential source also of non-diluting funding, a little bit like a grant coming from upfront payment in a deal or the sale of this product for dogs. We're obviously not an animal health company, and we don't have the expertise the animal health pharma company have. So it makes total sense for us to demonstrate that we have a product with a good proof of concept. And this study of dogs is very good proof of concept. It's run by Syngene, which is a major CRO. It's comparative, it's randomized, it has multiple endpoints that are very valid. So that's something that could realistically lead to some kind of licensing out, some kind of sale of the product to within a year. Very different from MASH or sarcopenia, which are long-term projects.
Eric, apart from the dog study, what else should investors be looking out for as 2025 progresses?
There's a very important piece of the puzzle in our success, which is the IP. And, you know, biotech, we need to be supported by a patent, and the patent has to be issued. And now the patent on MASH and on the Sirtuin 6 centenarian are moving to national phase. That means we pass through all the steps, and now we go country by country. We just submitted for a Japanese patent. And once you have a patent issued, you are in a totally different category of company. With patent issued in multiple countries at the national level, we expect the valuation. It's reasonable to expect an increase of the valuation of the company.
Well, Eric, I hope you'll keep us updated on progress with that, as well as with the studies. Thank you very much for speaking with us today.
Thank you so much.
That's Dr. Eric Lara, the CEO of Genflow Biosciences.